What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we have another regionals report or a regionals question and answer. I'm starting to get confused if we should call this a regionals report or a regionals question and answer. This time around we have Alex, who obviously piloted the Sableye Garbodor Bundlebee deck. It's a very straightforward deck here. There's not really too much crazy stuff you can do. The only really crazy thing that Alex decided to do was put a trick shovel in his deck, which says look at the top card of either player's deck. You may discard that card or return it to the top of the deck. So, an interesting card for Alex here. Besides that, the whole point of the deck is to abuse Crushing Hammers, the Enhanced Hammers, Team Flare Guards, Verse Seekers to reuse, and then you get this back with Junk Hunt. Junk Hunt lets you get 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand, so that way you can just reuse the Crushing Hammers and stuff over and over again. So your opponent is out of energies, then you go in with Bundlebee and you use Burrow to discard the top card of your opponent's deck, and you can use this twice with the Barrage trait there, and eventually you deck your opponent out that way. Of course, Garbodor shut down the abilities, same as to help set up. It's a very straightforward deck, but hope you enjoyed this interview. Thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we do another regionals question and answer. I guess a regionals report. And what's your name?
Alex Cook.
And what regionals are we talking about?
Talking about Vancouver, British Columbia.
Alrighty. I know at the beginning of the video we showed your Sableye Garbodor deck, but what were the decks that you played against in Swiss and how did the matches go?
Let's see. We had 8 rounds. Round 1 was actually against JP, Jonathan Piranda, who won the whole thing. So I played against his list, and I won against that. Round 2 was Toad Bats. Beat that one. And then round 3 was Fairy Box. And I ended up tying that one, which was probably the saltiest I was all day, because I have a great Fairies matchup. But game 2, we finished game 1, and then game 2, I didn't draw a supporter, and I started a Bunnelby, and he just retreated into Landorus and one-shot me. So I was like, oh, not good. So we didn't finish game 3, but I was really salty after that one. But it turned out fine in the end, so whatever.
Yeah.
Round 4 was Toad Bats. Won there again. Excuse me. Round 5 was Dark. But the problem, like, I have a fairly decent Dark matchup, and it was against Matthew Chin, a really good Seattle player, and he played one Sableye as the list, which really screwed things up because he kept getting back Dark Patch and Versus Seeker, so I couldn't really truly lock him anywhere because he had outs because he played an AZ as well. So it was that matchup was gross. I think I finally took it because I kept trying to get the energy off the Sableye, but I finally took it when he put 2 energies on the Sableye. So I was like, great. I managed to count all his energies, and from there I won. But that first game lasted 45 minutes, so it was crazy. That was probably the hardest game of the day. Just because of that one Sableye. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Round 6 was Night March. I couldn't tell if the kid was just I can't remember his name. I should remember his name, but he basically was trying to dig for stuff, and you can't do that against Sableye Garbodor. Like you can't play too many Junipers. And I think he just missed energy drops too many times. And every time he had an energy drop, I had an answer for it, and so it was just a 2-0 just because it has such a good Night March matchup. And then I was against round 7 was Vespiquen Flareon, and before that I was like, hey, because he was the undefeated and I got paired up, so I was like, hey, you want to scoop and then we can ID and we're both in? But he was like, nah, man, I want to get that 7-0. I want to be the only person with 7 wins. So I was like, okay, and then I took him to the house, so it was all right. He started lone Eevee both times, and he was able to get Blacksmith both games. So that was a little concerning, but my Life Dew wasn't prized either game, so it was fairly good. And nice guy, fun opponent. I just can't remember. I'm so shitty with names, even though I know all the players, they're famous and whatnot. And then right, and then round 8, I ID'd against Serena. So that was pretty easy. Yeah, so I went in as the #1 seed at 6-0-2.
Okay. For those who don't know, was day 2 the next day or was it the same night?
No, Vancouver regionals. Any event in Vancouver is so awful because it's the same day. Because I don't know what the issue with the hotel is, but they can only ever get the venue for one day. So
Okay, so what? So 8 rounds. You've already probably played like 8 hours worth of figuring out how to junk hunt.
more than that,
Yeah.
we started at 10 ish, and it was around 8 o'clock when Top Cut started.
So,
Yeah,
oh man. Okay. Uh,
yeah.
what happened to top eight?
Top eight round. This is where it gets fun. Because I looked at the other side of the bracket and I noticed JP was on the other side and the other Sableye Garbodor was on the other side. So I was like, awesome. If I get into the finals, there's a good chance it's going to be just it's going to be a rematch of the very first round or a mirror match of some sort. And I was like, all right, I just got to get there. It's going to be fun. Last year I got second at this tournament, so I was like, I have to improve on my standing, right?
Yeah, true.
So it's only one way to do that. But top eight, I played against my good friend Kyle Thomas. He was in my car driving up. He is my roommate's brother. Very, very good friends. And as we're driving up to Canada, he goes, "Oh, hey, does anybody have a deck I can use?" And so I was like, "Yeah, I got a spare one." So he played my Manectric Wobbuffet Regice deck. So I knew all 60 cards in his deck
Okay.
because I had built it for him, which was really nice because then during the games, I was able to count all of his energies because I knew counts of everything. So I was like, all right, he's got 2 floatstones gone. Those are done. He doesn't have a third. I know how many lightnings he plays. Those are gone. So it was fun just because like that matchup is probably the hardest for Sableye Garbodor is Mega Manectric just because if they turbo bolt once, you lose.
Yeah.
So luckily enough, though, I was able to play a lot of hammers and get a lot of clutch flips. And he started Regice game one, which didn't help him at all because he had to burn a Flowstone onto that, and I was able to zero sick Lysander, all that stuff. But yeah, I think I junk hunted for about 25 hammers game two. Uh, I was just it was gross because he plays 2 DCE. So I knew that if the headringers were not going to be enough on Mega Manectric if he had a lightning and then a DCE. So
Yeah, true.
things got a little sticky there, but it was good. It was a 2-0, so there's that. And then top four was against Hayden, who was playing it was up there, the Toad Genesect. There were a couple people playing that Toad Genesect thing. And the ironic whole situation was that he had forgotten to write down Burbank City Gym on his deck list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had to replace the Burbanks with 2 more grass energies. So even though I got some head flare grunts, he had so many energies and he was just kept dropping them. So it wasn't close at all. Like I ran dry as is. I was never able to garbage collect anything, and I ran just so bad. Like the worst I had run all day was right there. So but that's okay. Top four, nothing to shy away from.
Exactly. Now, if he still had the Verbeeks in there, do you still think you would have beat him? Or I mean, did you have like just such a bad draw that there was no hope?
I think it would have been closer
Okay.
because he was able to put at one point he was able to put 3 energies onto a Garbodor, not a Garbodor, sorry, a Toad.
Insect. Or a Toad?
Toad, yeah.
Okay,
I'll leave
okay.
it to Toad. And I hit a confusion flip on him. So I knew that if he had retreated that one, he was going to have way less energies, and he didn't have a backup DC or anything like that. He actually had to attack through confusion once, and he hit heads on it. And if he had hit tails there, I probably would have ran that game back just because I was holding on to some hammers and was just ready to go. So yeah, I think it did help him. I don't know if it helped him a whole bunch, but after the game, we were all talking like, dude, like that is so ironic that you forget and it saves your skin there.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He messaged me. He's like, I forgot to put Verbeek at top 8, but it did help me win matches. And I was like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it did. Yeah, God, it was silly. Because I was talking to his buddy Nathan beforehand, and I was just like, the only thing I want to know about you guys' deck list, how many grass energies does it play? And he said 4, but my buddy plays 6. And I was so confused about that. And then I found out. I was like, oh, God. It's awful.
You had inside information and it still didn't work out.
Not even a little.
All right, man. But like you said, top 4 is still great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess the very first question is, why did you decide to play Sableye Garbodor? Because I think there hasn't been a Masters that made top 8 with the list at all. Like, or-
That's what I heard. Yeah, Arizona. There was what a senior that made it, right?
yeah, there was a senior that made it. Or no,
Hmm.
Texas.
Texas. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, I decided it because I tested a whole bunch for this format, and I couldn't really settle on anything. And I wanted to do something that didn't have any bad matchups, just because like everything loses to something. You pick a deck and it's going to lose to at least one or two things out there. And I wanted to try to find a deck that didn't have anything like that. Which obviously is a challenge because no matter how much you tech a deck, you only can do so much really.
that's true.
Like Mega Manectric struggles against fighting decks, so you put in some fighting Pokemon, some psychic Pokemon to maybe help that out, but it still doesn't break that matchup at all because you're still trying to Turbo Volt.
Yeah.
Same thing with Donphan. You can put in as many Leafeons as you want, you're still going to suck against Toad. So that was the issue was I didn't want to try to make a metagame call and try to guess what everyone was playing. I just said, you know what, blanket matchups, and I'll try to rely on my skill to outplay my opponents. And so I pointed at the deck that had the least amount of bad matchups and the most amount of ability to outplay opponents, and that was Sableye Garbodor. And that's just what it came down to, was that it's a deck that you can outplay people, really. So.
Now, I know with a lot of Sableye Garbodor decks, I guess we haven't really seen any make cut, but all the ones like the generic list that we've seen didn't play the Trick Shovel. Now, why did you decide to play the Trick Shovel in your deck?
Trick Shovel. There was someone, I think I don't want to like say the wrong name here, but I think it was Andrew Zavala. Made top 16 with it. I think it's
Yeah,
Andrew.
it was Andrew Zavala.
Yeah, it is Andrew. Okay, and he played Trick Shovel in his list, and up to that point, I hadn't been testing it, and I was just like, this is interesting. So I didn't like the catcher in his list, so I didn't bother with the catcher, but I liked the Trick Shovels because it kind of gives you. I didn't want to rely so much on Bunnelby to be milling. I wanted to be able to have a Sableye answer to help mill. Yeah, I guess that's just kind of what it came to, is that if your hand was set up, if you had a Versus Seeker and a Hammer in your hand and you were like, all right, I don't need really anything else, I can grab a Trick Shovel, and now I'm able to more versatilely do things with my junk hunts. So it just gave me more options, I think, and that's what I liked about it. It also had that clutch. It never happened. I wanted it to happen so badly, and it almost happened in top 4, where instead of Trick Shoveling your opponent, you Trick Shovel your deck if you don't have a supporter in your opening hand, but you have a Versus Seeker, and you manage to discard a supporter and then Versus Seeker for it. I really wanted to do that at some point during the game, but
That'd be really cool. That's like a desperate situation. Like,
hey, I was desperate in that top 4 match. It almost happened. Oh well.
alrighty. Now, was there anything in your list that you wanted to have that you just didn't play in your deck that you couldn't find space for?
Let's see. Not really. I mean, a lot of people. We talked about it before. A lot of people was questioning a counter stadium thing.
Yeah, like Team Aqua's
and-
base. Yeah.
Yeah, Team Aqua's base was the one everyone really pointed to. But for me, you really didn't need a counter stadium. The only stadium that really actually hurts you is Verbank. And for me, instead of trying to counter that, I was just going to retreat out of it. Because if they really wanted to take that Sableye prize, they're going to have to burn Lysanders and more lasers and whatever to try to get it up. And I was just like, really? Because it's a Sableye. You're not going to. No one ever says Lysander for Sableye. Never. So I figure I'm okay with retreating this and kind of playing the prize denial game.
Yeah.
So Verbank is the only one you worry about. I really want to retreat more than I want to counter. So I didn't play the Aqua base because I would rather retreat. Everything else just works into your favor, really. Like, especially Skyfield. Against JP, he would fill up his bench with Skyfield. And that was nice because that's at the very minimal 3 extra cards that I don't have to worry about milling.
That's true, yeah.
So no really reason to, like the weird situation, you counter Skyfield, they discard 3 three Pokemon and then Sacred Ash them back in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you can always get
But
'em
yeah,
back.
no need for a counter stadium. And other than that, I think I didn't need anything else. Maybe a second enhanced hammer would be the only other thing that I would change.
Now you talked about the sleep flip some.
Brr.
Did you ever?
It's, co-
It's cold.
it's cold in my house right now. We haven't turned the heat on yet because we're poor. So
I understand. I now, did you ever want like a Switch or a Pokemon Center Lady just in case if you were asleep?
um, I it would be nice, but generally in the matchups where you fall asleep, um, it's against laser, right? So the
True.
two big decks that play laser are Dark and Toad. And if you are asleep against Toad, you're generally like, I mean, if you're item locked and asleep, Switch and PCL aren't really going to help you unless you have the Center Lady in your hand because you're going to reverse the secret for it. So against Toad, it wouldn't be good. But against Evil Tall, I could see it against Evil Tall just because you would be able to play it as long as you're not under Toad lock against Evil Tall. But yeah, no, I actually the two times I played against Toad, I did fall asleep one turn, but it didn't break the bank or anything like that. Just because, like, yeah, they take one prize off of it, and you're gonna push up another Sableye or something like that. Like you're still fine either way. It wouldn't be a bad idea, but the one thing that I really liked about the deck was the lack of one-ofs. There was three one-ofs, the Ace Spec obviously, and then Enhanced Hammer and Zero Sick, which basically do the same thing. So,
True.
so that I don't think I would like the one-off switch because then if it gets prized against that one matchup, you're gonna hate yourself for being like, oh
Because you
man.
prized it, yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I played two of everything, just so I didn't prize anything.
Okay. All right. I guess the big question here is how do you decide when to switch to Sableye to Bunnelby?
Ah, yes. I probably. How many times did I burrow? I probably could count the number of times I burrowed just because I honestly, I think you could probably do the deck just fine without Bunnelby. Like, that's why I only played two. It was nice just to be like, hey, I have Bunnelby in here. I'm going to threaten this. But I never benched it. Like, I never would bench it and then Juniper. I would always get rid of it just to be like, yeah, I do have a Bunnelby in here, so now you have to worry about this. But I never wanted it to be Lysander stalled up because it has two retreats, so you can never attach and retreat it back into Sableye, or if you don't have a float stone or something. I think the value in Bunnelby comes from just being able to threaten burrowing. Especially like late game when you have when they see one trick shovel, they have to assume you have more than one trick shovel in there. So I don't think people are going to guess you have just two. So they're like, oh man, what if this guy does play four trick shovels?
Yeah, true.
Now, if I have 6 cards left in my deck and I see a Bunnelby in his discard pile, there's a good chance that I'm going to get trick shovel 4 times and burrowed twice. So I think you kind of scare your opponent into it, but I burrowed very little in the tournament. I burrowed against Vespiquen just because I was so far ahead at that point. But if you're burrowing, you're already going to win the game, so I would much rather junk hunt. It's a way better attack.
Okay. Now, did you ever have anybody like just scoop like once you start like you just flipped so many heads of crushed hammers like yeah I'm just gonna scoop this game or did
Yes.
okay
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how you're supposed to beat a mill deck like that. Is that game one it has to go quick. If you're not doing well against it, you better scoop it up and try to go game 2 and maybe salvage a tie or even a quick game 2 and maybe a game 3 win. So yeah, I had probably about 3 opponents scoop right away. Yeah, that's what you have to do.
okay all right. Well, do you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Yeah, shout outs to all my crew that went. My girlfriend played her first major tournament up in Vancouver, which was cool. She's been doing league challenges, and this was her first big one. Unfortunately, she didn't come away with a win. She went 0-1-4 drop.
Well,
Yeah, so
at
she
least had
tied.
4 times. Like,
Yeah, she tied 4 times, and she's like, because she played nothing but Toad, and she was playing Wobbuffet Bats, and she was
okay.
just like, I'm sick of this. So she dropped and went got drinks with some people. So shout out to Sabrina, my roommate, and her friend, everyone that I went up with did a great job. And then my buddy Chris, who's not even bad, told me to give him a shout out, so I figured I'd do that.
alrighty, man. Well,
And also to
oh You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I just
Go.
want to plug Spokane Pokemon. It's this little tiny project. It's nothing big. The people in our area aren't very competitive, and we kind of want them to get more competitive so that we can send more people to these larger events. So we started a thing where we do like sample deck lists. They're not deck lists that are like tournament ready, but like here are kind of skeletons and what you can do to work out with that. And so to any player that's seeing it, it's SpokanePokemon.wordpress.com, and it's just a little tiny thing. I don't really intend for it to get big, but if anyone needs some help, it's a good place to go.
All right, and I'll leave it down below too if you do want to check it out and see everything about it. So hopefully
Sweet.
people look at it and check it out. Of course, if it helps out new players, it's always great.
Exactly.
Alrighty, man. Once again, congrats on making top 4 at regionals. It's very nice, especially with Sableye Garbodor, which I think it's a deck that nobody really expected still, which is very strange.
That's what I like about it.
And man, all right. Well, congrats once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next regionals. And good luck at cities coming up.
Hey, thanks. You too, man.
All right, take care.
Yep.